knitters, welcome to the channel. It's at the end of a very long 3 weeks for me. Life's been quite hectic. I've had a lot to do at work and I've had my parents visiting, which was wonderful, but did take obviously away a lot of the time that I had. There was a heat wave, so we've been very, very hot in Europe and the UK as well. Not something we're quite used to. So that's been something to, that's been a bit of a challenge, would I say. Too hot, too cold, can't win really, can you? So I haven't got too much knitting done over the last 3 weeks, but I am very happy to say, and you would have seen from the opening clips, that I have finished my Vilma top. Now forgive me for not wearing it, it's still really, really hot here. Really warm, so I'm just going to show you, if you do not mind, my top finished. I'm very happy with it, and I think I'm going to be getting quite a lot of wear out of this. You know, that transition between late summer and autumn, a chill comes into the air and you just need not a whole sweater or a whole cardigan, but you do need something to cover up just the torso area, and this is a beautiful vest. Now I'm really happy with how it's turned out. Okay, so let's talk about the yarn. The pattern calls for worsted weight, or Aran weight as we call it in the UK, and I have used a Cascade 220. It's not the superwash version, there are two versions. This is 100% Peruvian wool. It has not been treated with superwash, which I'm pleased to say. This is the colourway Mystic Purple, and it's really beautiful heathered yarn. I'll show you some close-ups later because you might not be able to see quite here, but there's all sorts of little colours in it. It's really, really lovely. It's knitted up very nicely. I used 4mm needle for the main section and a 3.5mm needle for the ribbing. Now, it actually called for a smaller needle, but I didn't get on with that. Not with the worsted weight. I find it too stiff, too hard. So you actually do knit this flat. So you are knitting and purling with this lovely little lace pattern, but it's not too complicated. Now what you do is you start with a provisional cast on. So it's above this decorative edge that you can see here. You start above there, and you provisionally cast on, and then you are knitting back and forth. You are knitting flat and putting in these lovely eyelets and rows of eyelets going upwards, and then knitting all the way around the back and back to the front again. So I found that pretty simple. Now what I did do to help myself, I put a little marker here to tell me when that edge there was ending. And then you had quite a lot of plain knitting, and then it started again here. So I put a little marker there. It just helped me, and obviously likewise on the other side, it just helped me know where I was in that pattern, because you have a little bit of mindless knitting with this stockinette around the corner, as it were. So I found that really did help. I always use markers actually to help things like that. The pattern doesn't ask you to, but for me it just shows me where I am, and it just gives me a little reminder, oh, you're just coming up to the next section now. So it's pretty straightforward, I think. I did take a little bit of working out of this pattern. I did have to frog back a little bit, a couple of rows, just because I went slightly wrong here, but then when I understood it, it was fine, and it makes total sense, but it's just that rereading of the pattern, isn't it? Okay, so you're knitting back and forth, all joined, until you get to the bottom of the armhole here. And then, of course, you're going to start splitting it. So you knit across, cast off 4 stitches, knit across the back. I mean, it might be different stitches. That was the size I was doing. Oh, and I haven't said actually, I did the size 5 for this one. Cast off another one, and then get to your front. So you then are working just on the left hand side, just on the right hand side, and then across the back. So of course the back is the larger section. The 2 front sections really didn't take very much doing at all. You know, they flew by. Of course you've got a bit of shaping going on for your armhole, then working up, And then you've got obviously a bit of neck shaping up here, and there's some shoulder shaping, so you do have a nice little slope there on the shoulder. What you do at the top is you leave your stitches on hold. You leave them live because you're going to do a 3 needle bind off, which is a beautiful neat bind off. It's really lovely. I do like that, and it gives a bit of structure there as well to the shoulder. So when you've done those, you're then going to pick up some stitches for the neck ribbing. That was fairly easy. I like to use picking up 2 stitches for every 3 rows. That's my go-to, and that gives me a nice pulled in neck, but not too much and not too loose. So for me, that works well. And I also did that around at the armholes for that ribbing. And it might be hard to see here, but I actually had a very small amount of a darker purple worsted, and I put a little, the last tubular cast off that I did, the last 2 rows I did in that deep purple. Now, it might not be so hard to see here, but I'm going to show you a close-up of this later, and we'll see. And I also put it on the bottom here, so you might be able to see that. So that I thought was a little bit of interest. Didn't do it on the neckband or the button band, but I did it on the armholes and the bottom, and I think that's just given it a little bit of a different touch, you know, I quite like that. So then, of course, you need to come back, before you do your button band, you have to come back and pick up these provisional stitches, put them back on a needle, because you're going to work this decorative edge, and of course you work the decorative edge down. And it really is just a repeat of this lovely eyelet vertical line, if you like. Nearly said horizontal then, getting a bit confused. It's just a repeat of that, but a bit more often, and then a few rows of garter stitch on the bottom. So yeah, lovely. I loved that. I loved it. The decorative edge is really beautiful, isn't it? It just gives it something special there. And of course then I was on to choosing the buttons. So I'm going to just put a close-up here of those, and a little bit more of a close-up of the vest. So as you will see here, I had picked out some vintage style buttons. They are like obviously modern made now. They're wooden. They're in slightly different colours, but not too garish colours. You know, they're quite sort of muted colours. And they've got this little sort of stitching detail around, and I thought they were lovely, and I thought they would go really well, and I think they have done. So later on, you know, I always do a little bit of knitting, or actually close-up knitting or work. I'm going to be doing, let's just put this down please, thank you. I'm going to be showing you me sewing on those buttons and the kind of methods I use for buttons. You might find that interesting. But overall, really happy with the Vilma top. It's going to give me a nice warm layer for the torso in those chilly days, autumn days, spring days even, you know, at the beginning of spring. I think there's going to be a lot of wear out of that. And Gregoria Fibres, I mean, I love it. I liked the pattern, I liked the way the pattern was written. Straightforward, easy to understand for me. So I did delve back into what else Gregoria Fibres has done, because I wasn't too aware of the designer before I saw the Vilma top. And I really love a couple of things. So let's have a look at them now. So yes, I think I might be going to do that hat this year, obviously towards the winter a bit more. Last year I knit the Oslo hat, which is very beautiful, but I do have some of the yarn left over that I used for the Oslo hat. Now my husband has decided he likes the Oslo hat, so I've kind of lost it to him, but it actually does look really nice on him. I have to say, it's a great unisex hat. And if you knit it in a nice dark colour, anyone can wear it, you know, either of the sexes, either of the genders, anyone can wear it. So he's got that. So I think I'd like to use the same yarn, see if I've got a picture of it here and put that up. Use the same yarn, but I'm going to hold a mohair with it to make it a bit thicker for this hat. And I think that could be my hat this year. It does look lovely. I think with mohair it'd be extra warm as well, wouldn't it? I love the big brim. So yeah, plans for that. And the cardigan as well. Yeah, on the to-do list at some point, but no, it's something I would like to do anyway. So really beautiful, those little buttons down the front. Really like that. All right, so yes, it's been really hot. We have had a heat wave, but I have managed to do a little bit more knitting. I have made progress on my Italian summer scarf. Now this is another one I am using from using up my fingering weight stash. Now a couple of videos ago, or maybe the last video, I was delving into my fingering weight stash because I got a lot of it and I want to start using it up. And I had begun this Italian summer scarf, which I think I showed you, and I'm holding 2 fingering weights together so it's a DK knit. And I think I might have been up to this purpley blue section when I last left you. Well, I have continued and started using up more. And what I'm doing is, as the green ran out here, I brought in another fingering weight, carried on with the blue, and that carried across to a sort of browny, shiny brown I had. And then a yellow, and now I'm back on, as you can't really see, but there's only 2 things, but I'm back onto a purple lavender, which I've got more of. So I hope that will balance it out. So here's the halfway mark, if you like. It's nice and long, which is what I wanted. And I'm now on the decreasing section, the second section, and I think it's coming along really nicely. This is quite easy now because I have memorised the pattern, and it's quite an easy yarn over knit to eyelet pattern anyway. It's just very easy. So, you know, it's a 10 row repeat, garter stitch mainly, and then 1 row is different. So the pattern is free. I'll do a link to the pattern again in the description. It's worth downloading, I think, even if you've got DKs that you want to use up. I just think this is going to be really lovely. Oh, dare I put this on in the heat. This is going to be really lovely in the winter, under my coats and things, or over the top of jackets and things. I think it's going to be awesome. So yeah, I'm very pleased with the length. Pleased with the length to the halfway mark. So yes, that's using up a lot of those little balls in my jars that you might have seen if you've seen any of my other videos. But when I get to the end of like fingering weights, balls and skeins, I just ball them up into these little balls, put them in my jar. I expect we all do something like that. And then of course they're sitting there waiting to be used. So that's good. So another one, I'm using up stash. I'm kind of on a bit of a using up my stash phase at the moment. The Vilma top used up some of my stash. Of course, it wasn't little balls, but I had a couple of skeins of that cascades, which I've now used nicely. But I also showed my fingering weights, like a sock yarns, and I had quite a few in autumn colours. So I was wondering what to do with them, and I showed a few options in my last video, and I chose the Yarnkeepers Vest by Wool and Pine. Now I'm getting along quite nicely, hopefully you can see that. So you do actually do the back from the shoulder downwards. You do 2 little shoulder parts and then you join them and come down. And you're supposed to do that right to the bottom of the armhole. However, I'm running out of one of these colours and I wanted the back and the front striping to be the same. So I put these on hold, picked up at the shoulders and started doing the front. So the front, as you can see, I've made some progress on it. It's a bit curly, but I do want that rust colour. I want it the same. Now I'm going to run out of the rust. I'm going to run out of this nice caramelly colour. I've got another ball of this DK weight Drops Charisma in almond. So I don't think I'm going to get to the bottom completely with the almond as the background, but I'm going to switch up. It's a scrappy project. So I'm going to do as much as I can, which I think will be just below the armholes. Then I'm going to switch the back colour. This green I've got, I'm hoping this stone, I love this stone, it's looking beautiful against there, isn't it? I hope I can have enough stone to get to the bottom as well. But we'll see. It will be a mystery for the moment, but I love it so far. That's really lovely. And again, this is going to be a nice vest. I know that they show it as like a summer vest, but I am planning to wear mine over a t-shirt, over a dress, and it's a DK weight, so not as thick as say the Vilma top vest, but it still will produce another lovely warm layer, I think. It's going to look really nice with a long sleeve t-shirt, your jeans, skirts. I think it will just go really lovely with those. I'm loving those autumn colours. So yeah, looking forward to I'm going to progress with that, and you never know, next time I see you I might have maybe even be finished, or maybe not. A bit ambitious, but we'll see. All right, so one more thing on the needles. I'm doing a sock. Again, this is with fingering weight that I've got left over, my little balls. I've got about 3 or 4 little balls of this orange colour. Not really sure what this is called. Actually, I think this is called rust. The one I'm referring to as rust over there is called nutmeg. That's right, apologies for that. So here's the beginning of a little sock, and it's going to be like an autumn Halloween theme. So I haven't done too much yet, but I've started the colour work here. I've got black in it. Keep that little secret for now and show you. But what I do, when I've done the cuff of a sock and then worked a little ways round, when I'm doing colour work, I put them onto these little 9-inch circulars, because I find for colour work, it gives a smooth finish. But when I start my sock, I do them on magic loop. And once I've finished my cuff and transferred it for the colour work, I then cast on immediately another second cuff, because you know that second sock syndrome, it's a thing, isn't it? But I find that if I've started my second sock, when I get down here and I'm going to start the heel flap and gusset, I'll stop, put this back onto magic loop, and then I'll do my colour work here. So I kind of do 2 at the same time, not on the same needle, but I do them concurrently, because then I find I can get them finished and I don't have that, oh, I don't want to cast on a second sock, you know. So I'm looking forward to seeing how these turn out, and I will show you them when I've got a bit more progress on the needle. But yeah, that's the only other thing on my needle at the moment. And of course I've got lots of plans. Now, last time I showed you my fingering weight stash and some options. The Yarnkeepers Vest was in those options, but also in those options was the Marie Wallen Hawthorn Cardigan. And I have decided to do that. Now, I don't know when I will do that. I'm thinking it might even be my New Year cast on. Now, I know that seems a long way away, but I love to have a January the 1st cast on that is winter themed. I've still got my Spring Girl by Amy Christoph to finish, and I have, by the way, I haven't bring it to show you, but I have started a sleeve. So the whole body is done. I've started one of the sleeves, only about 1/4 of the way down, but once you're on the sleeve, you're on the way, aren't you? I do want to finish that sweater before I start another sweater or cardigan, a larger project. So we'll see when I'm going to do the Marie Wallen one, but I've decided to do that one. And I have actually purchased a beautiful emerald green, I'll show you it next time, fingering weight yarn, and then all my other fingering weights that I've got left are going to be the top, in the top yoke section. So yeah, that's definitely gone onto the to-do list. We're going to be doing that one. There's steeking involved, and I always wanted to try steeking, and I haven't done it yet. So steeking down that front, we're going to see how that goes. All right, well, again, thanks guys for joining me. It's great to see you again. Happy knitting to you all, and I hope wherever you are, if you're in Europe especially, that you're keeping safe and you're keeping cool. Okay, see you next time. Thank you.